So imagine that you're a beautiful day, sun shining, and you're on a sailboat and you're sailing and you can hear the gentle breeze and the little flapping of the sails. And it's so peaceful. The water is calm. Everything is perfect. And then off in the distance, you hear a little bit of a rumble and you see a cloud building, dark and black. And lightning starts flashing and it just takes over the entire scene of your life. This is anger. Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, your host at Reimagining Your Marriage. And in this series, beginning with this video, we're going to talk about anger. Now, in the series, we're going to talk about the 7 toxins that attack marriage. So don't forget to subscribe so you could hear them all. Let's get into what anger is all about. It's almost in every marriage, visibly, but it is in every marriage, isn't it? And the reason for that is very interesting. You know, we are free will beings, and our natural state, take a look at a baby. When a baby is first born and they can't smile yet, but you can feel that glow of love and joy. That's the natural state of us as human beings. And when we meet our soulmate, that very same experience comes to the fore, where we feel that joy, that love, and we're so overwhelmed with happiness. And then we experience that anger, and we can no longer experience at that moment the love. It's impossible. There is a reason for that, and it's based on physics. It's very simple. Where there is light, there is no darkness. And when there's darkness, you're not aware of the light. And anger will crush you. It makes you wonder, what am I doing in this marriage? Why am I putting up with this? When it's your mate's, your soulmate's anger, you're going, I gotta get out of here. And when it's your anger, rest assured, they're saying, I gotta get out of here. It's a very toxic element, this anger. And yet many people just brush it off. I don't mean they brush it off when it's happening, but people tend to brush it off and say, hey, one thing is, it's who I am. Another thing people say is, look, it's how I feel at the moment. I can't stuff that anger. What do you want me to do? Stuff it and I'll explode? Other people say, yeah, it's just natural. Why not? Worse, other people go, yeah, he really ticks me off when he does this, or she really pisses me off when she does that. But we calm down, and you know what? There is residue. There is. And we don't want that anger in our marriage at all. Now, I'm not preaching at you. I was a victim of anger myself. And I'll tell you exactly what happened. It was in the 90s. And I had an anger problem. By the way, if you have an anger problem and you're getting your help through anger management, please put it in the comments and let me know how it's working for you, because it did not work for me. The first time when I decided, okay, I'm done with this anger, what happened was I decided I'm not going to allow it to be in my mind. I'm going to push it out. I'm going to use my willpower. I have strong willpower, and so do you. I'm going to push that anger out of my mind. And I was sweating. I couldn't do it, no matter how hard I tried. Finally, I was on the floor in fetal position. I'm not telling you a made-up story. This is actually what happened. And I'm sweating and I'm in tears. And finally, I get up and I call 3 or 4 friends. I go, pray for me. I don't tell them why. That's not important. And it settled out. I never, for years, this was in the early 90s, I could not conquer the anger. Just couldn't do it. And then it was in 2001. I don't mean to have a long, drawn-out story here, but trust me, there's a reason for it. In 2001, up until then, I was a divorce mediator, and a couple asked me to help them save their marriage, and I started working on it. I'm not a psychologist. I handled the legal side of their divorce, and what happened was, my very first clients, what I came up with was a system, the very beginning, the seed of what we now have in my books and in the online courses, of choosing a binary path. And when they came in to see me for their marriage counseling instead of for the divorce mediation, I said, okay, here we go. And I had a big old 4x8 whiteboard. And I said, let's talk about things that you can do and things that you shouldn't do. And we started making a list on the whiteboard. Well, I shouldn't yell at my wife. Well, I shouldn't nag my husband. And I'm making that up now. I don't remember. It was so long ago. It was over 25 years ago. And I said, now here's what we're going to do. Because we don't want to just patch up your marriage. That's not reimagining your marriage to patch it up. That's just dealing with issues. And we don't want to just deal with issues. We want that essential love and joy that you had when you first met. Isn't that what we're talking about when we talk about reimagining your marriage? Is having what we strove for from the very beginning. So I said, okay, what we're going to do is don't do this, do this. Binary choice, no problem. My God, they loved it. But after a few weeks, I'm going to call him John. John called me up, Paul, I want to see you. I got to talk to you about this. And he came in and he said, you know, you're 100% right. A binary choice. I can choose what I say. I can choose what I'm even thinking, which is part of the deal. And I could choose what I do, part of the deal. But I can't. I should be able to, but I can't. And I thought about my own anger. And I realized I can't either. How do we cross this gap? We know what's right. How do we do what's right? It was beyond my capacity, my capability. I knew that the marriage counselors who I used to take their clients, they didn't know either. Or those people wouldn't be getting a divorce, because we all know what's right and what's wrong, isn't it? So I'll tell you what I did. Don't be shocked. I'm a meditator. I pray. I love God. I pray to God. And I sat down and I said, Lord, I didn't say it out loud. I said, this is beyond me. Help me out here. And I'm telling you this, you're not going to believe this, but I'm going to tell you it's the truth. Literally downloaded into my mind. Downloaded, like instantaneously, like in those days, putting in a floppy disk into your computer. These days, like just clicking. I had the whole thing in front of me. And it was beautiful. And it came together as what I called the SO technique. Stop, evaluate, act with wisdom. But in this package, he also showed me how it works, how anger comes, and how to not manage your anger. So don't forget, if you haven't done it already, tell me what your experiences with anger are in the comments section, but how to eliminate anger altogether. And I was blown away. And I started practicing myself. I gave this SO technique to John. Both of us were successful. Now, it wasn't immediate, it wasn't instantaneous. It's a process, but it worked. Now, within this package came an understanding. Now, this understanding may seem very simplistic, and it has a lot of facets, but it's this. The equation is this. Anger equals thwarted desire. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, you could say, oh, my husband just yelled at me. Of course I'm angry with him. So in that case, you have an equation of anger yelling causes anger. But that's not what it is. That desire is to be loved and nurtured by your husband. Or my wife withheld sex again. I'm really pissed. Her withholding sex equals anger. No. Thwarted desire. My desire was to have sex. My wife wouldn't give it to me. Anger. Anger equals thwarted desire. Now, sometimes there's a chain, and we have to follow that chain, but it comes down to that. Now, what do we do? What's the answer? I can't give you the SO technique in a YouTube video. I wish I could, but it's extensive. Even though it's downloaded all at once into my head, it's extensive. But I'm going to give you sort of the process that you need to look at. Understand something that is very cool. There was a philosopher, I don't remember what year, Nietzsche, and he said, I think, therefore I am. Sounds so cool. I really like it. The trouble is it's incorrect. Why is it incorrect? It's incorrect because that I is described by Zen people, by philosophers of India, and by others as the little I. Freud calls it the ego, although I don't like Freud. Jung calls it the ego. This little I is not you. You are the soul. I am that little baby born, full of joy, full of love. I am a creation of God. I am his child. I'm his favorite child, darn it. And I have a mind. In his creation, I need one. I need to look at things and decide what they mean. I have a body. It's fun to have a body. Take it wherever you go. It's not taking you. You're taking it because you have free will. And what has happened effectively has been that we have turned ourselves over to the habits that come about because of our drive to survive. That's what's happened. It's a fascinating thing. I get into all of this in the books that I've written and the online courses that we have because it's pertinent. It's relative. You know, I could be the guide on a beautiful mountain path, and you want to get up to the place where you could see the valleys and see the ocean, and I could point you in the right direction. And you may make it to the top. But if I take you step by step, if I explain to you, well, be careful stepping on the rocks because you'll slip. Be careful of going too near the edge because you may fall off. Be careful of wild animals. Be careful of this and that. Then you will make it to the top. And that's what became the teachings that we now have. The Marriage Foundation is all about showing you, you might say, the royal highway to a blissful marriage. And that's what you will have when you know where to go. Now, going back to the anger. Anytime you start feeling frustration, that's the beginning of anger. A little bit of resentment, that's the beginning of anger. Annoyed, that's the beginning of anger. Catch it. Catch it. Stop yourself. And if you have to, get out of the room. You don't want to explode at your soulmate. You know, this is so important to remember. You're married to your soulmate. There's no one in the world more important to you. Who's going to be there when you have a problem? Who's going to be there to hold you when you need them? Who's going to be there to take out the trash? Okay, I'm joking a little, but you know what I mean. For them, your needs are not petty. Now, if they are, it means that your marriage is not firing on all 8 cylinders. A throwback expression. When I was a kid, we had 8-cylinder cars, 8-cylinder engines in our car. So the point is this. A reimagined marriage. I don't want you to see your marriage as something that needs to be fixed. I want you to see your marriage as something that is intended to be, is meant to be, and still can be extraordinary. Isn't it beautiful? When you start looking at your marriage as, you know what, I guess I didn't know this about anger. There's so many other things I don't know about in my marriage. I'm going to start learning. I'm going to start learning because I want what this guy is telling me I can have. Marital bliss. Because when I first got married, that's what I wanted. Maybe I didn't come out and say it, but that is what I wanted. And I thought, this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. And not like, but ooh, something beautiful. And when you know how to run your marriage correctly, you will have that. Not you can have that. You will have that. I'm so glad you came by. Now we're going to talk about our offerings. Now, if your marriage is doing okay, but you could use a little help, you can just watch these videos. It's free. Or you could read my articles. They're free. Or you could take the next step. Get one of my books. We have 2 books. One is Lessons for a Happy Marriage, and the other is Breaking the Cycle. And the only difference is one is a little more complicated because I wrote Breaking the Cycle for when I started to train marriage counselors into our system. Now, if your marriage is really like, oh my God, I don't know how long I could take this, then by all means, don't worry about the money. There's plans that start for less than $10 a week. Get the online course. We have one for women and we have one for men. They're both spectacular. And if both of you, and it's rare, but go to our website. And if your spouse wants to sign up too, they can, but later. First, you find out what it's all about. One thing I promise you is within days or weeks at the most, you will be blown away by the amazing changes that are happening already. God bless you. And please like this video, but more importantly, subscribe so you can get this entire series of the toxins that hit your marriage. I'm Paul Friedman. God bless you and take care.